Straight out to the lion's den. Andrea still faces 13 charges, including perjury. But why on earth are prosecutors taking murder off the table right now? And I'm going to start with Jay Apt, who is very deep inside this case. In fact, you represent Andrea Snyderman's former BFF, best friend.
Yeah. Jane, I've got from good sources inside the DA's office that they are, in fact, going to drop all of the most serious charges, and to me that's pretty shocking. If I were Don and Marilyn and Steve Snyderman, I would be livid. I would be so angry and betrayed and upset. And I got to tell you, as a defense lawyer, where there is a presumption of innocence, and you do have to be found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, and we do have all these protections for the accused in our Constitution, I'd be pretty outraged if I were Andrea Snyderman, that they kept me on house arrest for 11 months before they dropped the charges. But the real egg here is on Robert James's face. And Robert's a friend. He's a friend of mine, a personal friend.
You're talking about the prosecutors. Not everybody knows every last detail of this case.
No.
But by the way,
the buck stops with the DA.
Okay, here's Andrea Snyderman wearing a big heart on her chest as she is led away in handcuffs. So, yeah, either way, they're wrong. You're saying either way, they've goofed up. If she is guilty, they're letting a murderess go free. If she's not guilty, then they humiliated and persecuted a woman for months on end who had nothing to do with it.
Look, Robert is a professional and excellent trial lawyer. Let
me jump in for a second. Let me go to Heather Hansen, criminal defense attorney. I hear you're shaking your head and sighing a lot.
Well, Jane, the thing is, there's still 13 counts against her. So she is still being charged for all these counts of perjury. She's being charged for the counts of concealment. She still could face up to 130 years in prison. So it's not as if she's just being let go on her merry old way.
I've tried cases against this. I've tried cases with this judge.
But listen. The problem is, if you can't prove your case, you're not going to.
Why are they just figuring that out now, though? That's my question. And Tanya Acker, maybe you know why.
Well, I think that there could be a couple of things going on here. But first, I have to say it's a complete mistake to assume that simply because they dropped these charges now, that they are precluded from bringing them again later. I mean, if anything, I think it's better, frankly, for Rusty's family that the prosecution not try to move forward on an overcharged case if they don't have the evidence. If they drop it now, before jeopardy attaches, before the trial begins, and they're able to pull a murder charge together later, there's nothing to stop them from doing that. And actually, beyond that, Jane, the fact that this is happening at the 11th hour may not be all that surprising. I mean, it could be a tactic by Robert's office.
Explain.
Well, no, because look, this could have been some leverage.
Let me just jump in and let me say this, Jane. What I think is exactly what Tanya is saying is that there could have been leverage involved here, and a lot of times prosecutors will do that. When I was a DA or when I was a prosecutor, sometimes you use that leverage to see if they will fold. It's almost like playing chicken to see, okay, well, we're going to go forward on these charges if you don't take a plea. And at the end of the day, what this shows to me, Jane, is that there's just not enough evidence. There's no admissions. There's no physical evidence. I mean, we're talking about a mother of two with no criminal history. And so, of course, the prosecutor has an ethical duty not to go forward on charges if they believe that they cannot prove it beyond a reasonable doubt.